Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are based. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Tea Milk Two Sugars. That's how we like our tea,
Mhm.
milk, two sugars. I've got the pleasure of uh, presenting Miss Paulette Hallam,
Ms.
author of the best, Ms. Paulette Hallam, sorry, the presenter of a few shows on LinkedIn. She's also the author of Jack and Walter series. I'll let Paulette introduce herself, and then after that we'll start the show. Please go ahead, Paulette.
Okay, so hello, I'm Paulette Hallam. Lovely to see you all, hear you all, and hopefully you'll be hearing me. Um, so yeah, the Jack and Water series came about after my nephew was in a real bad state of bullying. That's the first time 23 years ago it all kind of happened. And then it happened again when my son was 12. And this message to me was, you need to do something to help these kids. These children need help. And so it wasn't until I retired that I absolutely threw everything but the kitchen sink into learning everything that I could about anxiety, about autism, about children's special needs, all of the SEND, NDs. Um, everyone talks about SEND and ND as if it's like one thing, and it's a spectrum as big as you can imagine, and people touch it in different places. And we're going to talk about a few of those places today. Anxiety is crippling, and I want to say very quickly that if you have a child who is suffering from anxiety, never ever think that it isn't important or it isn't um, something that needs dealing with. It really truly does, and it must be taken seriously. Anxiety is absolutely crippling for children. So, but we'll talk about that a bit more later. But I'll let Cyrus come back in and run the show.
Tea milk two sugars. Tea milk two sugars. Tea milk two sugars.
Thank you so much for joining us, guys. If you've just joined us, we're going to be talking about anxiety. So that's
Ro-
um,
Robot.
that is yeah, okay. So can you hear me now?
It's a bit robotic.
It's a bit robotic. Okay. So um, please go ahead and have a few words, Paulette, so I can resolve my microphone issues. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, no problem. So I just want to kind of start from the very beginning, okay? Because there's no good place to start with this topic. So childhood anxiety isn't usually caused by one thing. You can't say, oh, it was that moment, or I remember when that happened, that this particular anxiety happens for lots of reasons. And sometimes it's layers, you know. You cut a tree through the middle and you get all the different years you can. It's the same thing with anxiety, it builds like building blocks, only not good ones. Usually it develops in a child's brain because it perceives the world as uncertain, as scary, unsafe, unpredictable, um, beyond their ability to cope with it. So what we're talking about is essentially it's it's almost like it's coming at them. If you imagine something really scary coming at you, that's the feeling inside they get. It's an overactive reaction to a situation. And until you can tell them that there is no threat, they're safe, and that everything's going to be okay, do we actually get through that message? It's such an important message to understand that overreaction, the big fish, little fish story I always talk about. I don't know if Sarah's mic's back, but little fish problem, little fish reaction, big fish reaction. It's about
Important.
teaching children to understand that small fish should not result in big fish reaction. That is anxiety in a nutshell. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Paulette. I hope the quality is better now. So,
Perfect.
live shows and its joys, eh? So, what do we know about anxiety, and what do parents need to know about anxiety? Okay, I want to differentiate between what parents know about anxiety and what parents need to know about anxiety. They are two different things, right? So, what parents know about anxiety is what parents know about anxiety. What they need to know about anxiety is the reason why Paulette Hallam's here. It's the reason why I'm here, and I'm the lucky guy who's presenting Paulette Hallam to you through tea, milk, 2 sugars. So, there are a few points that we're going to go through, guys, and we all know anxiety. If it's not addressed, it can cost our children. Anxiety costs our children, right? So, sometimes in medication, sometimes in therapy sessions. But I'm here to tell you something about the biggest cost, that is the invisible one. The cost of opportunities. Opportunities that your child is going to be missing out on. Relationships that your child is going to be missing out on because they're going through anxiety. When they needed help, nobody helped them, right? And that is not a good thing to look back on when you in your 40s and 50s and 60s and realize, oh my goodness, my parents didn't help me due to their lack of knowledge, right? Now, it's not the parents' fault if they don't know, or some people would beg to differ. But now here's your opportunity to know about it, right? If you're a parent, please listen well. We're here for you, right? Later on, you can't say, oh, nobody told me about it. You're on tea, milk, 2 sugars. We are here for that purpose, okay? We're here to serve parents. We're here to help parents, okay? Because it's a pleasure to serve our community. We have other guests that Paulette and I are going to be introducing to the show later. But for now, Paulette and I are going to go through the main points that Paulette has prepared for us today. So, number one, out of the things that a parent needs to know, what is anxiety and why am I feeling it? This is your child talking. What is anxiety and why am I feeling it? What would you say to that child? How would you address that issue in a nutshell, Paulette? Please go ahead and do your magic.
I think the number one thing is safety. If a child knows they're feeling safe, if they understand that everything around them is okay, regardless of change, regardless of circumstance, regardless of what's occurred, regardless of family breakdown, regardless of whatever, they are safe. That feeling of not being safe is overwhelming and can result in a panic attack, an anxiety attack. It can result in all kinds of major issues. So it's all about keeping things predictable. The unpredictable is like poking the bear. The unpredictable is what scares everybody, especially children. What's going to happen next? Am I safe? Can I handle whatever it's coming around the corner? When those questions have reassuring answers, anxiety is sort of beaten. Anxiety doesn't win that battle, anxiety is calmed. So it's about why you're feeling like it. How do you address it? It's like saying to a child, okay, I know something's really, really worrying you, but right here, right now, I'm here. If your partner's here, whatever, your dad's here, your uncle's here, whoever's here, we're here. We love you. We care for you. And whatever it is, we'll deal with it, okay? Whatever it is, doesn't matter how big it is, we'll deal with it. Minimize. Always take it from being big fish to small fish. That way, you're moving forward. Microphone.
Thank you so much, Paulette. This brings me to my second major question that parents keep asking. What is triggering my child's anxiety? Again, this is the child asking that question. What is triggering my anxiety? And by the way, one of the big things about anxiety is not knowing what is happening. That's the most annoying bit. And that's the most worrying bit. You don't know what's happening to you, bro, right? And now, times 100, imagine that in your little child's heart and mind, right? So it's not nice for an adult. It's certainly not nice for a child. So your child's wondering what is triggering the anxiety. You know it. You know the triggers. How would you break it down to your child? So here's number 2. What is triggering my anxiety? Please go ahead, Paulette.
Okay, so children see and hear everything around them. Whatever you think, they'll hear an argument. They feel issues, resentment, whatever's going on in the family, they hear. Ditto at school, in any environment, they're like sponges for everything that's negative. Because unfortunately, by nature, we tend to live in the subconscious mind, which is the negative mind. So children absorb both emotional atmosphere. They will sorry, 1 second. My son's just finished his master's degree and he's letting us know, but don't worry, my husband will deal with it. So moving on, I was saying children absorb everything around them. They are fearful of anger. They are fearful of worry. Their parents talking about financial worries or stress. Their parents' worries, I'm talking about, become theirs. Okay? So they almost internalize everything they're hearing, everything they're seeing, and that puts them in a state of, who can I talk to? I can't talk to my parents about it because they're the ones that have got the problem. Does that make sense? So what you're doing is the cause of the anxiety could actually be the parents, and the parents don't realize they're causing the anxiety. And I think that's probably, I would say 50% of issues are what's going on in the actual home itself.
Absolutely. Thank you, Paulette. Your son just called you. He's in uni years of his life now. When he was a kid, like 6, 7, 8, did he experience anxiety?
Yeah. Ben has
How did you
mild
handle it?
autism and he not well. I'm quite feisty. You wouldn't believe that about me, I know. But I'm quite feisty and you can do anything to me. You can do anything to my business. I'll come after you, no problem. You hurt my child? Oh, World War III, right?
Mama Bear comes out.
All your exactly. And the problem is that you don't think with your thinking mind, you think with your angry mind, and that doesn't help solve anything. And when you've gone for the parent and you're screaming and shouting at the parent for what they've done to your child or your child, you look back and the 2 kids are back playing again, right? And you and the parent are going at it, and the kids have forgotten and moved on. So you have to be mindful about how you react, because sometimes you can overreact yourself because you're obviously protecting, as you say, mother bear or daddy bear. And I think the key thing with Ben was he didn't tell us. He was an internalizer. So we didn't know there was a problem until there was a bigger problem. And then it layered up.
Did you focus on his singing? Because I know he sings now every once in a while. I've seen a couple of videos of him, and it sounds really good. So when in my experience, focusing on a child's skill and getting them to focus on that helps with anxiety or constant anxiety. When I was experiencing anxiety, my mom would take me to bookshops, and guess what? Whenever I feel anxiety in adult age, I've ended up in a bookshop and browsed through books, and that is the biggest distraction that you could ever bestow upon your child. And find them a distraction, a positive habit that helps them get through that episode. What do you think?
Just on that note, I'll tell you why we did it. At 4 years old, we were told Ben would probably have to go to a special school, and he probably would be, behind with speech and his ability to socialize. And they gave us a worst case scenario on every single thing. And I was talking to another parent at one of these courses that I went on for children with autism. And the lady said to me, "Does your son have any musical ability?" And I said, "Well, he rocks out to everything. He jams out, he dances like anything." I said, "Music is like his thing." And she said, "Get him into Stagecoach." And I said, "Stagecoach?" She said, "Yeah, I think they start at 4 or 5. And I was like, okay. So, of course, me and actually my mum and Charles all took him first day, thinking there's no way they're going to keep him for an hour and a half. He has never sat still for 10 minutes, let alone an hour and a half, right? How are they going to do this? And they did half an hour of drama, half an hour of singing, half an hour of dancing. He came out beaming, "Can we buy the uniform?" And we were like, yeah, we're going back in now. So he was on his taster session. He did it till he was 14. He stopped at 14 when he started doing his GCSE year. But yeah, I mean, it was something that he loved. He enjoyed the shows. It got him into the school shows. Music became his escape. And I think the word
Right.
that you just used is escape. It's your
Escape, yeah.
mind needs somewhere to escape to. So you
Right.
go to your books, he goes to his singing. Or that's just how his mind works.
So that is easy for me and you to talk about, right? To adults, right? Me and you are talking about it. So parents who are watching this, remember, this is applicable to all of you, applicable to all of us. Me and Paulette, both adults, both parents, we can rationalize things, right? How can you explain to a child they are having a panic attack, or if they are having a panic? So that's one of those things. They may not ask you that question directly, but looking you in the eye, they might be asking you, "Am I having a panic attack?" So, or they might come out and ask that question, "Am I having a panic attack?" How would you address that, Paulette? Just briefly, please.
So the "am I having a panic attack" is something they've read or seen or heard. Otherwise, they wouldn't know the words, right? So the first thing is, where have you learnt that? Where have you seen it? Where have you heard about it? Has somebody at school accused you or said you're having a panic attack? Where have those words come from? Because they're not words that just come into vocabulary. So the question really is why do you think that? Where have you heard about it? And tell me how you're feeling. I think that's the key here. It's tell me how you're feeling. Why are you thinking it's X, Y, or Z? Give me something,
So you're
You need to
asking
be
you're
able
asking your
to
child to externalize it in a way.
asking a child to let out whatever it is that is crippling them. Talk to me. Where's this come from? And it might be that they just read about it, or they've watched a video. You know how they are at the moment. They're on all these gadgets non-stop, learning and reading and watching. And I'll tell you another thing. I know children who are not having panic attacks at all, but use it as a means not to go to school. So they've read what happens in a panic attack, and they've used it in a negative way to say to the parents, oh, I can't breathe, I'm so stressed, whatever. So, you know, you have to understand, right, that breathing is the answer to everything. Now, I know people laugh at me when I say that, because whenever I say breathing's so important, they go, well, of course it is, because you're dead if you're not breathing. Well, that's not what I'm saying. If you can take a deep breath in, and you can then exhale out, breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. As soon as you do that,
I'm sorry for interrupting you. On one end of the spectrum, we have you. You say, this is real. This is happening to you, right? Don't overuse it, but I acknowledge it. It's happening to you. Let's solve the problem. On the other end of the spectrum, I invited one of my friends to come to the show, and he's so honest. He's one of the most honest people I know, right? And he said to me, you know what, Cyrus? Maybe it's best if I didn't come to this. I said, but you're an author. And he said, yeah, I write different things. And my line of work is different. And I don't believe in anxiety. When I was a child, this didn't exist. So I don't believe in anxiety. So and you know that's gonna cause a lot of issues if I come to the show and say anxiety doesn't exist. But I wanted to represent his opinion as well, right? Because some of the people who are watching the show are of the opinion that this whole thing is made up, and the industry, pharmaceutical industry, is actually pushing that narrative so they can medicate children, so they can push the therapists. And we all know that therapy never cured mental illness. We all know therapy, yeah, because we are airing their opinion as well, right? And if you are set in your opinion, this show is not for you guys, because we're going to be addressing the issue from different aspects. So how does that make you? You're an expert in that area. How does that kind of comment, how does that make you feel? And what is your approach to that? Because people think that.
it's sad. I'll be honest. The word is sad. We should try and keep an open mind to everything. I think that the more open-minded you are, the more chance you've got of understanding. So it's always existed. It's just maybe we weren't allowed to show it before. People who were anxious in, you know, maybe in the 50s were too scared about other things. They had different situations. And so what they would do, in fact, would be internalize this, and then it would make them mentally ill, because they would be like become unable to leave the house, they would be unable to go to work, they'd be unable to earn an income, or if they did it in a very subdued, sad way. So it's always been there, whether you were a child or whether you're an adult. And there are so many adults that have exactly what we're talking about. And they're like, oh, no, I can't admit that. I can't admit to feeling like this, because then I'm weak. Then I won't be manly, or I won't be, you know, strong, or I won't be this, or I won't be that. You know, it's recognized, because it's a recognized illness, because it is an illness, and it is part of the mind. A lot of it is confusion. I'll be honest. A lot of it comes from confusion. The sooner you can take confusion away, it's like bullying. It's exactly the same with bullying. As soon as you take the bully away, guess what? Bullying's gone, right? But you can't say, oh, I got rid of panic attacks, or I got rid of this, or I got rid of that, because you never know the next thing that's going to spark it off. But what you do is you have methods of dealing with it, like going back to your breathing. You know how to, instead of start hyperventilating and panicking, you know, no, slow down my breathing. I know what I have to do. You have the skills to handle it. That's the key with everything, having the skills.
So you automatically answered the next question as well. How can I stop a panic attack quickly, right? How can I stop a panic attack quickly? So your solution, and many other people's solutions, is focusing on your breathing. How would you do? You have this technique. Is it SPUD?
Yeah.
Was it SPUD?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you please
Well,
expand on that?
I can, but actually, it, we came up with Spud, Cyrus and I recently, because Spud is the character. Jack looked like a potato when he was a child, so they nicknamed him Spud. And then we said, well, should we make that into an acronym, right? But you know, the key for me with even using Spud, it's more, if we can keep it even more simpler today, just for today, I will do a whole post on Spud. But what I want to do is say, for today only, I'm just going to say this: stop. Okay, whatever it is, whatever's making you feel whatever, just stop it right now. Just stop. That's really very sudden. Just stop. And then try to understand what it is that's creating this feeling of whatever it is. Okay. But as soon as you've stopped and you are preparing yourself, you're thinking about all the things around you that could potentially be causing this panic, right? But you stop is the first one. Then the panic is the key. Why am I panicking? What is it about whatever, right? So what is it that's making me panic? And then understand it. Understand why it's making you feel like that. And the key to everything with me anyway is if you can understand why it's happened, how it happened, what you need to do, then you breathe through it, then you're absolutely winning. Okay. So it's really stop is the first one. It's a bit like a green cross code. The first thing is stop. Don't cross the road. So stop. Stop yourself from taking that position of overwhelm on board. So you really are stopping. Then you are trying to process or understand the reason. Okay, so if you're a child, you say, what was it? What was making you feel that panic? Yeah. And then you understand the reason. And then once you've understood it, you're then in a position to go, okay, now I'm going to deal with it. How do I deal with it? I don't let it happen again. I'm aware. Now I'm aware that spiders send me up the wall, jumping on the sofa, panic, can't breathe, whatever, right? So it's a kind of way of that. Using Spud from the book was a great way of just saying, that goes for all of us. We've all got a reason to panic. Everything can send us into a panic, but we have a reason to stop that. And if you can say stop, as in it's a physical stop, physically stop. And the key for me is that when you say you don't want to, you don't want any issues for that child to go panic. You don't want them to get to that stage. So if you can nip it in the bud, as they say, is the old expression. If you can nip it in the bud, it stops it.
Absolutely.
Microphone.
So the next point I would like to cover is can anxiety cause physical symptoms, right? That is also controversial. Lots of people disagree. Anxiety cannot cause physical symptoms. However, on this one and on many of these points, I would say to them, please do your own research. I'm not asking you to believe something you don't want to believe, right? We're not here to change your belief system. We're here to provide education. We're here to provide information, right? What you do with that information is up to you, right? So what is your response to that question. When parents ask, can anxiety cause physical symptoms for our kids? What would you say to that?
100%. 100%. Who has ever sat in a waiting room to go into as an adult to go for an interview and you can't actually hold on to your bag because your hands are sweating? Okay? Sweaty palms. That is anxiety. That's your body releasing chemicals going, oh gosh, we've got a thing going on here, right? So sweaty palms is an exact example. Knee jumping, when your knee starts jumping, that is an example of anxiety. Obviously, the breathing, not being able to gasping for air because you cannot get it in quick enough because suddenly you feel as if you're being choked and you're not being choked, but you feel like you're being choked. I think itchy. I know this is an unusual one, but I have seen children almost rip their arms to pieces where they've just scratched and scratched and scratched because it seems to give them something to focus on. And that can be horrible. Pulling out your hair sounds odd, but there's an actual full study done on that. Pulling out eyebrows is a study on that. Pulling out
Also they get
eyelashes.
rashes. People get rashes when they get
They do
anxiety
hives. It's
sometimes.
like a hive rash, absolutely.
Eye rash,
But
yeah.
it's temperature. Temperature, that's what causes the rash as well. Some people will tell you they go absolutely like red hot, red hot. I mean, embarrassment is a form of the same thing. When you get embarrassed, your cheeks fill with blood, right? And you get like a color on your face. People can say, oh, you can't. How can embarrassment cause a reaction? There you go. There's a reaction. People get red in the face, right? That's why the body is chemicals. We are all chemicals. And when the chemicals get buttons pressed, they create different issues in the body. Make sense?
Yeah, it does actually. Sometimes people feel dizzy.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get a really, really terrible episode of palpitation. So yeah, it does manifest itself into
That is actually
physical
caused by the
form.
breathing. That palpitation, just so you know, the science that I've been reading about, because I wanted to make sure I was prepped for this. When you don't breathe properly, you starve yourself of oxygen. What happens to your heart? Your heart starts to go pound, 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 right? Because it's not getting the oxygen it needs. That's part of
Compensate. Yeah, yeah.
exactly. And so that is why, because I was trying to understand all of these different factors. The dizziness is the same. If you're not breathing properly, that means you're starving yourself of oxygen, which means you'll feel dizzy. Sickness, you feel sick because you're not getting the right amount of
Yeah.
oxygen in. Everything
Yeah.
is related to breathing.
Yeah. And then one of the things I found this really clever tactic that some parents have taught their children. Some doctors, obviously, they learn them from experts, and then they've applied it through the years, and then a growing number of people online are saying this method works. So I'm going to share it with you guys. Get your child to smell three things. Three things. One of them could, and things in the environment. One of them could be a bottle of shampoo. One of them could be a fruit. It could be your perfume. It could be like an aftershave. It could be something from the fridge. It could be a jar of jam, right? The favorite food. It could be anything. If they smell three things, sometimes people say five things, like a few things, right? Because of the fact that they get the oxygen in, that's half the distraction, right? So their brain gets distracted, they get the oxygen they need, right? It's even if you find it silly, get them to do it. It's better than being sat there hyperventilating, right? So if I were to choose between my child hyperventilating or my child doing a silly thing, of course I would get my child to do more than one silly thing because in front of my eyes, like not doing anything about it. One of the worst things that could happen to a parent is the the feeling that you're not capable of sorting out their problem, solving their problem, and they are sat there hyperventilating, panicking, and panic begets panic, but more panic, right? So that's the really awful thing about panic attacks. An episode of panic attack, because the child is like, oh my goodness, what's happening to me? The next panic attack comes, and then the one after that. But you can stop that by using these simple teeny tiny tactics. You can alleviate the situation.
And if you're not at home where you can have access, you can just say use the five things that, so it's five that use your senses basically. So you say, can you see something that's red? Can you smell something that's whatever? Can you touch something? So if you even if you just use like for example a letter, so you say, right, 3 things beginning with C. Name me 3 things beginning with C. Can you tell me 3 things that would smell beginning with C? Can you tell me 3 things you could touch beginning with C? As long as you're distracting those senses, immediately they are able to suddenly regulate. And when you talk about regulation, I mean, it's very well overused word. But in this circumstance, what we're trying to do is just almost trick the mind into coming back. So instead of it dialing up to number 9 on the oven, we're trying to get it back to number 1 or 2, if that makes any sense.
It does actually. Thank you so much, Paulette.
Milk to
So we're gonna hear. We're gonna watch a quick commercial, and then we'll be back with you guys.
Give me tea, give me lots of tea. My new favorite is a box of tea. Cups of tea, pots of tea, give me lots of tea. My new favorite is a box of tea. Give me tea, give me tea, give me a box of tea. Can I please have a cup of a box of tea?
Thank you so much for watching Tea, Milk to Sugars, a podcast helping parents by discussing what really matters to parents and that helps them be more efficient parents. We don't use better or worse parents. We use efficient parenting, because no matter how you're parenting, you're doing a great job. You are a parent. Okay, it's not easy to be a parent. So we're gonna jump right back in and go to number 6. What natural methods really reduce anxiety? So we discussed number 6. We're going to jump right into number 7. When should I seek professional help? Because no matter how great you are at handling your child's issues, you're at some point you're going to have to seek medical help and professional help. So Paulette, this one for me is a twofold question, right? So one is, when should I seek professional help? And please explain to people what happens when they don't seek professional help. Please go ahead.
Okay, so this is the hardest question of all to answer, because
It is.
so many times doctors will say, oh, but you can handle this yourself, right? Because some doctors see anxiety and panic attacks and this kind of thing as being a little bit over dramatized, if that's a fair word. And so the thing that I say is, if you've tried solving the problem yourself using the methods that we've talked about, if you've actually understood that your child is having this feeling every single day, if you're starting to see your child repeating what they're feeling my head hurts, my stomach hurts, I feel sick, I can't stop shaking. Look at my hands, they're all wet and sweaty. This means it's gone to extreme. This means that it's now become the body's attacking itself. So instead of the body calming itself down and supporting it, the body is now adding layers of issues to the panic attack. Now, I will tell you, adults who have panic attacks are often people that were children that had panic attacks, would you believe, that weren't dealt with. So that's a bit of a controversial thing to say, but it's actually true. So I think the most important thing is, if you've tried everything, if you've put all the trust in place and you've put all the boundaries in place and you've tried to help them deal with any of the conflicts, you've dealt with all of the sensitivity. So some children are more sensitive to this kind of thing because of what happened at home, because of their background in their home, because of stuff that's gone on that they've seen, because of children that have come from a war zone are going to automatically, if they hear a bang, even if it's only a cap, or, I forget what you call these guns, like a pellet gun or something, they're going to jump out their skin because of history. They've got a reaction to that, like a PTSD reaction. But we're talking about something that is like that, but dialed back. So it's the same thing, the same nervous system goes into overdrive, but it's not responsive. So you can't teach it to stop. It's gone too far. That's when you go and get help. When you've tried all the methods that we've talked about, when you've tried asking them what's going on, showed them the support, showed them how much they're loved and cared for, given them a safe environment, made everything you can as calm as you can at home, and they're still reacting, then the problem has become bigger and needs to
Um,
be addressed.
I just wanted to interject and say, there are parents who say they have tried everything they could. Let's pause there. Many people don't take it further. Your job is not to say, I've done everything I could, it didn't work. You need to also take it further. When you can't help, please get someone who can. Otherwise, you are the parent who could take it further and didn't. And you don't want that. You want to be a parent who tried everything. It may work, it may not work. Your job is not to do magic. Your job is not to um, be a prophet of some sort, right? Um, your job is to be a parent. Simply, if you can't help your child, well, it's fine. You get a doctor whose job is a professional whose job is to help your child, right? Don't be the parent whose measures are half-hearted, right? Be the parent who tries to help, but when things don't work out, takes things further to a doctor, to a professional, right? Alternatively, you can let your child suffer um, and deal with it. But remember, it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to loop back. And your child is going to be the adult who will have to deal with and continue something you didn't finish. Nip it in the bud, right? These things get worse when and if you allow them to continue, right? They get worse if you allow them to continue, right? So like any other illness, just and some people and to people who say these things don't exist, right? Remember, just because you can't see it, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So we're going to jump right into the next one.
Just one quick one, Cyrus. If you imagine where you've been, like the dentist, okay? If your child says, "My tooth hurts, it's really hurting," and you give the child some, I don't know, Calpol, whatever, some sort of medicine that you have, some paracetamol, whatever it is, children's stuff, and then it doesn't go away. The child says, "My tooth still hurts." Then you take the child to a dentist. That's not something you can see. It's in their mouth. You can't see the pain. You can only hear them tell you they've got pain. So why would you treat a panic attack or anxiety any differently? Thank you.
I don't say this often enough, Paulette. You are simply amazing, and thank you so much for everything you're doing for our community. Because whether it's on LinkedIn or it's on these new shows that we are doing, you don't hold back, and that's the kind of experts we need. If you're an expert watching this show, and if you're like Paulette, contact us. Please come onto the show and help our community even further. We would appreciate it. Parents would appreciate it. The next thing we would like to address, guys, is anxiety disorder, and panic attack. What is the difference? How do we know which one we are dealing with? Because each one of them could be a different animal, right? So now, please go ahead, Paulette, and render your definition.
Okay, so this is again, he throws all the difficult questions at me. So a panic attack is when you physically are feeling something. So it's like a physical reaction. Your body is making your hands sweat. Your body is making you pull your hair out. Your body is making you feel a certain way. Okay. So a panic attack is when you are hyperventilating. A panic attack is when you could be like feeling like the palpitations in your chest. You could be feeling sick. You could, but again, it's because you're not breathing, you're not taking oxygen in, you're not able to control it. Okay. When you have a child with asthma and you see that because they can't breathe, and you quickly run and you get their inhaler and they go, oh, I'm okay now, right? That the inhaler has just opened the airways. What we've got to try and do is feel like we're doing the same thing, but without the inhaler. We are the inhaler, the parent, or whoever's looking after your child at the time. So you just have to try and calm that whole nervous system down. When you're talking about anxiety, anxiety can be with you 24/7. Anxiety can be with you the whole time. You can live a life of anxiety, literally your whole life. You are an anxious person. You are worried about tomorrow. You're worried about next week. You're worried about what could happen, what might happen. You're just one of those very sensitive souls that it lives in an anxious world. So an anxiety attack for them just means it's an elevated level of anxiety. They already had anxiety. Now it's gone up a level. So, I talked about the oven, turning it up. It's the same principle. The anxiety is always there. Then all of a sudden something else happens and boom, up goes the dial. And then that's when all the other physical things will start to happen. So I think the differentiation is that a panic attack is something that can come on suddenly. Anxiety is something that you can actually have 24/7 and have it all the time. And I think that for me, the harder one to even help people with is understanding that they're living in an anxious world. They're living in a world full of anxiety. So you have to literally unwind every single thing that ever happened to understand why they live like that. With a panic attack,
Absolutely.
it's usually one thing, bang, that took them over the edge. You have to find out what the one thing was.
Paula, everyone says AI is helping humanity, but now human beings have AI, which is perfect in many areas, to compete with. I don't think that helps people's mental health, does it? because they've actually what they're promoting is be perfect, do perfectly, and then people who are not perfect, they feel kind of they feel short, and then they feel like um, I'm not perfect, and that causes anxiety. But what they don't tell you is when you deal with look at our show. We're not perfect. We're just here to provide a service to the um, to the community that we are serving, right? What you can call us perfect, you can call us anything. As my dad always said, call me anything, just don't call me late for dinner. So you can call us anything. I don't mind being called something. I have been through that anxiety before, and then I got over it. But not everyone can be over that quickly, that easily. And certainly for me, it wasn't that. But it took a while, but I did it finally. So um, competing with what is perfect causes anxiety, don't you think?
For sure. And we do know that, you know, a competition and anything like that is the thief of joy. We know that. We understand that, you know, you stop enjoying something if people think that you're not doing it well enough, good enough, whatever. Go back to the singing, you know. If you like singing and you're a bad singer, who cares? If it makes you happy, sing. Okay. I'm not suggesting you go and do karaoke and have everyone laugh at you if you sound like, you know, a cat that's being strangled. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is that you enjoy what you're doing. And I think that competition, even we've always had competition, and you know, beautiful women are out there that are completely modified. And I don't mean modified as in, well, some of them are physically modified, obviously, but I mean the pictures are all changed and they're different filters. And, you know, there's this, we've had this before where are the real women? Where are the women that have got, you know, lumps and bumps and don't look perfect like that? Because that's what you're competing with as a woman. As a child, you're competing with the best. You're always looking at, that's the best child in the class. That one always gets the highest mark. Will I be able to even come close? Will I not be bottom of the class? That is stress. We are adding layers of stress. Now, I'm not one of those that also believe that everybody wins a race. I don't agree with that either. I think there has to be a winner. But I think that you don't then make everybody feel really terrible because they used to Ben was worst cross country runner ever. Him and about 5 or 6 of his friends were the worst. And they were all the clever ones, but they were not interested in sport at all. And he used to come through that, you know, that ribbon as if you know, chariots of fire. I've got pictures of him and it looks like it's coming through like this, and he's got this face like, yeah, I made it. And everyone, like, the camera clicks and they give you the photograph and it looks, did you win? For him, he won that he finished. His personal achievement was that he finished the race and didn't give in. Or some of the kids phoned in sick on cross country day. He never did that. Every year, without fail, he turned up and he did everything he could just not to be last. But he completed it and he finished it. And when you look at those photos, I swear to you, it looks like he won. And, you know, there's some of them are very, very amusing and they're on the wall because they are so funny. It's chariots of fire moment. And I think that's about saying to a child, it doesn't matter if you come last, but you did it and you came and you tried. You know, don't pretend to be off sick just because you don't like something. You know, these are the methods of teaching a child that one day you're going to have to go into work and you're going to get asked to do something and you're not going to like it. But guess what? You can't just phone in sick because you don't want to do it, because life isn't like that. It's a life lesson.
Absolutely. Thank you, Paulette. That's a massive lesson you can teach your children. Don't let the fear of something stop you from going for it, right? Because somebody else will. Number 9. Which daily habits have the biggest impact on anxiety? So there are parents out there. So these are the questions that parents are Googling, by the way. That's where we found them from. which daily habits have the biggest impact on our child's anxiety, right? So we're trying to stop them from being anxious or help them get over that anxiety episode or panic attack episode. What are the positive habits that can replace those episodes or can help replace those episodes?
Positivity is number one. Okay, doesn't matter if you're going to come last, you're positive, right? If you give out, it's something I always say about kindness. You know, if you're kind and you teach kindness, kindness then is continued and perpetuates. The same thing happens with the feeling of positivity. Okay, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to have a good day, it's going to be fine, and then I'm going to come home. But if you need to, you break it down. You say, you're going to go to school, you're going to see your friends, then you're going to go into your lessons, you're going to have a break, get to break time. Then you're going to get from break time, you see your friends. Then you go to get to lunchtime and you see your friends again. And then you either come home straight after school or you go to after school club and you might see your friends then. Or you'll meet up with your friends for something else. But the point is, if you break it down into how do you eat an elephant, they say, right? Unless you're vegetarian, but it's always one bite at a time. Okay, that's what we're talking about here. Exactly the same thing.
Absolutely. So, in terms of the habits that we can form in our children, can you please expand on that a little bit? Apart from thinking positive and giving them a positive mental attitude, what physical habits perhaps can we
So the
develop in our
fingers,
children?
use your fingers. Okay, so if they're feeling as if they need, if you heard of fidget spinners and all these kinds of things, so I used to teach Ben to do that. And what that does, it just focuses the mind. Okay. So if the anxiety or stress is coming over the top and you're starting to think, oh, hang on a minute, I can feel a certain sort of feeling coming upon me. That is all it took to just change that moment into, oh, okay, I'm doing something with my fingers. I'm not thinking about what I was thinking about. So it's like a switch. Okay. So switching from off and on, you're just going, I'm not going to be thinking about what I was thinking about that was making me feel a certain kind of way. I'm now thinking about my fingers and how many times and how quickly I can do it. And that's one method. So another method, obviously, positive thinking is huge. Giving a child the opportunity to talk about it and be open to whatever it is they're feeling. That is almost the biggest thing today, I can tell you, is by you having an open mind, not closed off. There's no such thing as anxiety. I don't believe in panic attacks. What's wrong with you? You're putting it on, is the worst thing you could say to a child. It's, I understand how you're feeling. Something's not right. Let's try and help fix it. Let's try and help you. We might not be able to fix it. We might have to go and see a doctor, but we'll find out
Imagine,
what it is.
imagine if your dentist told you, I don't believe in, I don't know, a half broken tooth. Stop putting it on, right? Go home. You'll be fine. Don't. You'll be fine. Come on, just go home. And I'm gonna, I don't know, shut my office down forever. We don't need dentists, right? Toothache is not real, right? So you can't say that. You can't do that, right? So wishing wishing it away is not going to resolve the issue. As they say, wishes don't wash dishes, right? You gotta go get to the sink and wash the bloody things. So you gotta try to solve the problem, right? Using bro science, or I don't know, try to say the problem doesn't exist. Imagine that's not going to work. Like if I say, oh, I need positive mental attitude in my life. Anxiety didn't happen, doesn't happen to me. No. There are times that it happens to a person, and then you need those methods that we discussed, right? So imagine saying on your way to your garden, saying, "There's no weed in my garden. No weed in my garden," and then you find out, "Oh my goodness, there's weed everywhere." When you get right, so saying the weed is not in your garden doesn't make your garden weed free, right? You've got to do something about the problem, right? This brings me to the 10th one. Is there hope? Can anxiety be overcome and life enjoyed again?
Oh, yes. So you've heard me talk so many times about this, but I will go on and on about it because it was the biggest lesson throughout the whole of all the training I did, was when somebody explained to me what catastrophizing is. And I never understood what the word catastrophe was until I understood what catastrophizing was. So catastrophizing is when you see a small problem and you catastrophize it into a big problem. So back to the little fish, small fish, big fish, right? So small fish problem, small fish reaction. Big fish problem, big fish reaction. So when a child comes to you and goes, "Oh, you're never going to believe it. I've lost my reading book. I can't find my reading book. Oh my God, I can't." And it's a massive, great dilemma. The world's come to an end. Can't find his reading book. And you go, "Well, you were reading it in the den yesterday. Have you looked in there?" "Oh no, I didn't look there." Go to find it, right? Little fish problem, little fish reaction. No, we had a little fish problem and a big fish reaction. And so when you start to teach what catastrophizing is, in other words, worst case scenario, the world's going to blow up. Yeah, let's think about that. No, let's not, because we can't change that. We've got no influence on whether the world blows up or not. So what we do is you bring it back down to what can we do in our world right here, right now, to make our world as peaceful as possible. That's your peace. Your peace is your home, your family, your friends, the people that make you happy. You can't worry about world peace because you can't change it except by voting, and that's every once in a blue moon and blah, 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 blah. But I'm talking about from a perspective of a child and actually an adult too. I've used the big fish, little fish with an adult. I've I've actually used that in a conversation with an adult, and they've gone, "Oh, that's what I do. That's exactly what I do. I go to worst case scenario every time." I'm like, "Well, there you go." So if you imagine a room full of people, and my son has just done his big presentation for his end of his master's today, which is what the message was. So here's the thing. I know he'd be coughing this morning. He'll be breathing heavy. And I'll know that he'll have washed his teeth probably 3 times. I know he'd have done loads of things just to distract himself, because he knows that distraction stops him overreacting or catastrophizing. Okay? He's got to do it. He knows he's got to do it. He'll be fine. That's what he'll think to himself. And that's because of all the training he's had over the years. Now there'll be kids that will go in, young adults, 22-year-old kids, young people going in today to do their public speaking, massive, great, big presentation, probably the biggest presentation of their lives. And they will not have had a me in their ear going, "Right, wash your teeth, feel better, drink some water, think about something else, do something else, read a book, play a game, look at Doomsday, whatever you call it, on your phone for a bit. Do anything to distract yourself from fear." Because anxiety is only fear, and it's fear in any form it comes. I hate spiders, and I can get an absolute phobic reaction towards spiders. And I know it's silly, and I know people laugh at me and things, but even the smallest one will make me go, "Oh, here's a spider. Can someone get it, please?" I mean, I've got a little spider catcher now, and I'm just about able to get hold of it and get it in there. And then, but I'm trying to explain that is what anxiety is. It's a fear of something, a potential happening. What's our job to minimize that fear. Over to you, Cyrus.
So there is hope. We can do
Of
something
course,
about anxiety.
always.
Not all hope is lost, right? So,
No.
can we talk about a little bit about the books that you've written, about the trilogy that I just put on the screen a few moments ago, and the charity that you are doing on you're doing multi-platform on TikTok, on LinkedIn, and here on Team Milk 2 Sugars. So please go ahead, Paulette.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
So
Over to
the
you.
first book in the series is Jack and Walter in the band. I'm never sure where the camera is. I'm useless at this game. Here we go. Here, no, there, no, left a bit, right a bit. I won't bother. It's on the screen. So the first book is The Bantless Breakfast Mystery, which is a bereavement story. And it is a story about a child who suddenly realizes, Jack, that his grandma lost her husband on a certain day. And it's 7 years since he understood about it. But nonetheless, it's a story about how he understands what death suddenly means. And it's very, very scary for a child. But also it's like, oh, but what about all the things we could have done together? And that kind of reaction. It's not just the sadness of how they feel, as in as grandma feels. It's also how he feels, because it's suddenly lost and what he missed out on. So that's what that's about. And that death is a big one for worry. Death for children is somebody dies and they think everyone's going to die. And children will lie there awake, waiting to go and check on their parents to make sure they're still alive. People really can get that phobic about death. New House Nerves is exactly what it says on the tin. Jack and Walter, New House Nerves. Will there be monsters under my bed? It's fear of a new house, fear of a new room, fear of new surroundings. Will I like it? Will I be happy here when I loved my old house? I've lived in my old house all my life. It's all I've ever known. And it's, oh my gosh, why are we moving? Do we have to move? Is it really that important we move? And then once he moves, he has to go to a new school. And Jack and Walter in new school niggles is exactly the fear of going to a new school. What if I don't make friends? What if nobody likes me? What if I don't know where the toilets are? What if I don't know where to hang my coat up? What if I make a fool of myself? And what if? Every what if you can imagine goes through a child's mind. So now put yourself as an adult. I'm just going to say this very quickly. You're an adult starting a new job. What's the difference? Will I be liked? Will someone like me? Will someone not like me? Will I be happy? Will I not be happy? Blah, blah, blah. Right? All the same things. Do you not think when you're buying a house, people say it's the most stressful thing in the world? Why do you think that is? Well, that's exactly the same as new house has. The stress that you have as an adult is just the same as a child has. And when somebody dies, how broken are you? How does it affect you? How do you feel? Why should children feel any differently? And these 3 books are written as a family of adult, real human being type book, because everyone told me that they're books of otters, there are books of seals, and there are books of fish, and there are books of cats and rabbits, but not like a family. And my son certainly, he couldn't imagine 2 stick people, as in, he had sex education, they were stick people. That's not how it works, He wouldn't have got that because he was a thinker. So I wanted books that would actually make children go, I can relate to that. I relate to that character. I am that character, right? That's me. I'm in that book. That's my mum. That's my nan. That's my, it's like that kind of reaction. And so when you read a book that makes you feel as if you could fit into it, almost jump into the book, then you know you've done it right. And that's why I did the books, because I couldn't find a book that did that for children. And when I needed those books to help children, they weren't there. Now they are.
Okay. Now, thank you so much, Paulette. Now, would you please talk to us a little bit about the charity as well? Because I know you're doing great stuff using the books, and I don't know many authors who dedicate 100% of the proceeds of their books to charities, but you are doing it. I know you and your husband are dedicating more than the proceeds of the sale of the books. The books are one of the tools that you're helping grow the charities that you're working with. Tell us a little bit about Jack and Walter Charity, please.
So Jack and Water Charity is basically all the proceeds we get from the sale of the books. And my husband calls it an all for cost, not an all for profit. So basically, we give books to Comfort Cases, which is the charity for children going into the care system or going around the care system. So Comfort Cases is one of our key charity partners. At Christmas, we always do a big drive to try and take as many gifts as we can for them, for Christmas presents, for the care leavers, presents for the children, presents for foster care parents. So foster carers can go and pick a present for their child, and children can go and pick presents for their foster parents. So it's as much as possible we gift stuff, whatever we can get our hands on stuff. The books are used to either buy the stuff or we get given the stuff, or at the moment, I'm, would you believe, running a TikTok shop to get stuff. But believe me, I will do anything I can to support children in any way I can. And so in America, all book sale proceeds go to Connect Impact Hub, which is Martha Amaya Lobos Amaya's book, is charity. That charity is purely there to try and help change the homeless situation. So, we need to look at that in a much bigger problem. But she does an awful lot of amazing work with resources and things. And so finances are important to her. So we always give money to her for that purpose. So all book sales in America have gone to her. All book sales in the UK go to Comfort Cases.
Would you please
And we
explain a little bit
also
about
give books
Comfort
to
Cases as
Uganda.
well?
Yeah, Comfort
Yeah,
Case.
about the Comfort Cases.
Yeah, so Comfort Cases is really about when you get told you're being taken by a social worker, you get given a black sack and you are told, fill whatever you can as quickly as you can. You've got like 3 to 4 minutes to get in the house and get out the house. And it's the most traumatic time of your life. It's the most harrowing time of your life. And then you get given a black sack that says, I'm rubbish. Because obviously, I'm rubbish. The stuff I'm putting in the bag is rubbish.
How bleak?
It kind of
How bleak? Yeah.
exactly. It's the worst you can imagine. And then they turn up in a strange home, and they've got if they've forgotten their pajamas, for example, or they've not got any toiletries or a toothbrush, because children can't think straight. You're given this few minutes to go and get your stuff, and then they're not going to think to themselves, I'm going to need my toothbrush. But now you're with a complete stranger who you don't know, and you're going to ask them for a toothbrush, or are you going to just sit there and go, I'll just use my finger, because you don't know these people. And, if you get taken into a home, is a possibility you might actually have somebody actually ask the question, like, do you have a toothbrush? But if they don't ask, you're not going to ask. You've just had the most harrowing experience. You've got your worldly goods in your black sack and you've forgotten your toothbrush. Guess what? You're not got a toothbrush. So what Comfort Cases do is they give that child a rucksack. And in that rucksack is a full toiletry set, a pair of pajamas, size and age and sex appropriately. They then give them a book. These books go in comfort cases get Jack and Walter books. Then they have a blanket. On top of the blanket, they'll also get a cuddly toy, because you're still going to need comfort from somewhere. So then you have the cuddly toy, and then books and pens, so they can write down their feelings and thoughts if that's what they need to do. And so a blanket as well, just to make them feel that little bit cozy and comfy, because you're trying to answer every question that a child might ask in that first couple of days, while they're getting to know their surroundings, while they're getting to know the people, that they probably wouldn't ask for these things, but because they've got them in the bag, they can use them.
Thank you, Paulette. How can people find you?
Well, you can find me at jackandwater.com. You can find me at LinkedIn and Paulette Hallam. You can find me on TikTok as Paulette Hallam. And obviously you can find me in Tea Milk Tea Sugars, Paulette Hallam. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty well easily to find if you want to find me. The books you can find on Amazon. They are listed as Amazon International Bestsellers. We won numerous awards on that day, and we continue to win hearts and minds, in not just Uganda. We're supplying books to Uganda and doing stuff for mental health out there. So I really do believe that and Belize, we've got books in Belize, went out the other day. We've got books going all over the world. People in America are very, very familiar with the books. To me, if a child is given something that helps resolve a problem, then surely that's what we should do. And every child should have every copy of the book, in my view.
Absolutely. Thank you, Paulette. I was going to say, two nearly similar children, right? Same gender, same age, same level of skill. They grow up into fantastic adults. However, there's always a catch, right? There's always a however. However, one of them suffers with anxiety. Do you think they're going to experience the same level of success? I don't think
No.
so. Can you do anything about it when they're adults? It's a little bit too
Yes.
late to try to resolve it when they're adults. Isn't it better to resolve the issue before it turns into an issue? I'm a fan of that idea, right? Address the issue when they are children, right? Address the issue when your child is still a child, right? Some adults, including some of the parents that I know, approach us saying, oh, I don't know what to do with my kid. One of my kids. So how old is your kid? 45. Oh, brilliant. Maybe it's a good thing to start is not calling them your kid anymore. So maybe my son, my daughter would be a better start, right? So trying to criticize them at the age of 40, 50, I don't think it's a very good idea, right? So if you're in your 60s, in your 70s, and you're trying to criticize your 40, 50-year-old kid, it's not a great start, right? So the problems they're experiencing right now, if your kid is suffering with anxiety, that means your kid has been suffering with anxiety for 4.5 decades, right? So nothing's been done regarding that before, or if there was things done about it, didn't work, right? Remember, please, if it doesn't work, it's not the end of the world, right? It's the end of your solution. Please find a new one, right? So if your solution isn't working, read a book, find an expert. Yeah, all the results, all the solutions are out there. Find the results in the works of an expert. Find the results in the works of a community of therapists. You can always, if you search and you will be fine. If you search, you will find, right? Don't give up. Number one lesson you learn in the fight against anxiety, please do not give up, right? It's not the end of the road. It is not the end of the road. As long as we have people like Hallam, people like, who was Dr. Alex, was it? You're my favorite author. Who's your favorite author? You were talking about your favorite author the other day. It was on a private call. It wasn't on a podcast. But who was it again?
Mel Robbins.
Mel Robbins was one of them. Yes. Who was the other one that you mentioned to me? It was the one.
Was it Dr. Alex George?
Dr. George. Yeah, that's Dr. Alex George.
Alex
Yes.
George.
Please tell us a little bit about these two. Please tell us a little bit about these two experts. For people, by the way, if you're a parent watching this and you at the end of your tether and you don't know how to resolve that your child's anxiety problems, let's find two more solutions in the form of two experts. Please go ahead, Paulette.
So Dr. Alex George, qualified doctor, was going through a really hellish time when he was just qualifying when his younger brother committed suicide, and it massively derailed him, as you can imagine. And they were really close, and so he felt that was one of the things that completely made him go, I need to look at my life because I'm all over the place here. What's going on? And then when he started to actually looking inward and go inside, he realized that actually there were loads of things that he's never dealt with. And he went away and he found out that he actually had ADHD, and he also had OCD because of the of what had happened to his brother. It had given him all kinds of bodily reactions to the illness, bodily illnesses, ill reactions. So, I mean, disease is what it says it is. It's disease. You know, you are in disease because of it. And that's what happened to him. He became in disease. And he talks about the whole story. And when he realized that, he then wrote a book about his experiences of everything that happened, and he's now written two, and I think maybe more. I've got two of his books, and both of them are amazing, and they just break things down into real biteable, easily understood chunks, and I think that so many books don't do that. Mel Robbins' Let Them is one of my favorite books ever. She just says when somebody upsets you, let them. When somebody says something about you, let them. When somebody, you know, makes you feel, let them. And it's just this wonderful book about how you can stop other people impacting on your life. Stop letting other people steal your joy. And it's a fabulous book called Let Them. And I read it at least once a year, but you know, cover to cover. And I probably know it. But I love it so much. Exactly there it is. And the it's about, don't let other people steal something from you. It's your joy. Why should somebody else have the chance to spoil it? You love that yellow dress. You don't care if other people don't love your yellow dress. If it makes you happy and you feel sunny and bright in it, then you blooming wear your yellow dress and wear it with pride, you know? And it's a great way to make you feel good about yourself, good about situations around you, good about people that you want in your circle and people that you don't. Setting boundaries and things like that. It's a really, really good book for making you get your life back. What does it say? By letting other people live their lives, you finally get to live yours. There you go. Exactly that. Does what it says on the tin. Absolutely brilliant. And I really do, when I say I like books, I'm always reading. One of the books I'm currently reading at the moment is called This Book Will Change Your Mind About Mental Health by Nathan Filler. And I think it's just won a Costa Prize winning author, it says. It's about learning what does mental health mean to you, and what does it mean to somebody else? So, like you said, some people don't believe in anxiety, some people don't believe in mental health, some people don't believe in all of this. Oh, this ADHD, all these neurodivergent things didn't happen in my day. That's what my I was going to say in-laws say, but it's actually both of them. I was going to say one, then I thought, no, actually, they both said it in their time, that all this didn't happen in my day. And you're like, well, of course it did. You just didn't know. You didn't know it was called da 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 da. You know, people have to understand we are not dealing with brand new situations. We're just now aware of them. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Paulette. I was going to say this at the beginning because I'm going to finish on this bit. Anxiety is often described as fear, but sometimes it feels more like a faulty alarm clock hidden somewhere inside the mind, ringing before dawn for dangers that never arrive. It turns ordinary moments into unfinished questions, making silence seem suspicious and certainly feel just out of reach. Rather than a storm, anxiety can be a persistent echo, repeating what if, what if, what if, through empty hallways long after the original sound fades. Yeah, Paulette, thank you so much for another episode of Tea, Milk, Two Sugars. I can't say this enough. Paulette, we love you for what you do for this community, and thank you for just being you. You're one of the few people that I know that recommends other people, but never tries to be other people. You do recommend books, recommend authors. You share with us what you read. You share with us who you bring to your own shows, bring onto your own shows on LinkedIn and on TikTok. But I've never seen you being or trying to be imitating someone else's style, and that is originality, and that is what being authentic is like. As much as I dislike that word, authentic, but I think it's applicable in this circumstance, in this situation. And about you just try to be you, and I can see you through the books that you've written as well. I was working on the audiobook the other day, and I know, and it was in a bit clever way as well, and I loved it. I saw what you did there, that little quick surgery on a child's fear and a grandmother's loss after 7 years of losing her husband. And you write well. I like your style. So thank you so much for turning up and showing up. You always do that.
Thank you.
And we need more people like you. Any closing
Don't forget,
comments,
Charlotte.
Miss Hallam?
Yes, Charlotte Moorman is my co-author and also all the illustrations. So I don't ever want you to think it was just me, because it was the two of us. So thank you.
A massive thank you to and a massive shout out to Charlotte Moorman as well, the amazing illustrator of Jack and Walter trilogy. You guys co-wrote not one, not two, but three helpful books, and I hope the parents who purchase these books from Amazon remember that your kids are really lucky to have you. Your kids are really fortunate to have you. But let's take a moment and think about that child who does not have a fantastic parent like you in his or her life. So when you buy the book, please buy one and gift it to a child who's not lucky enough to have a parent like you. You might feel you're lacking. You might feel you're not a ideal parent. There is no such thing as an ideal parent. Just be a parent. Just, you are doing a great job as you are, right? Don't give up. Perhaps other parents should be and can be like you as well, right? Just do what you do. Don't doubt yourself. If you feel you need to reward your child, reward your child. If you feel you need to punish your child, punish your child. Make a decision about situations that your child is experiencing, and always keep an eye out for symptoms of anxiety and panic attacks. That's not the right moment to punish your child, by the way. That's the right time to be the papa bear or the mama bear. You need to come out of that shell and protect your child. Be the protecting parent. So, a massive thank you to everyone who watched us for and listened to us for an hour and a half, over an hour and a half. It's a pleasure to serve this community, and the pleasure to be a part of Tea, Milk, 2 Sugar. Please write to us. Find us on LinkedIn. Go to our websites. We have multiple ways of being found. One of them is LinkedIn. The other one is wherever you're watching the show. Please go to the comments. Please go to the comments and ask your questions. And most importantly, share your opinion about what you watched. If you think differently, please remember, this is the show for you. If you think differently, please share your angle, share your experience, because there is no such thing as a perfect. Perfect is ever changing, right? So you can't think your opinion is perfect or our opinion is perfect. Nothing and no one's perfect. Please correct us. If you find us in the wrong, correct us. Familiarize me and Paulette and the rest of the community with your thoughts and points of. We would be grateful. Thank you so much for watching us and listening to us, and we're gonna bring the show to an end and see you in the next one. Take good care of yourself, please.
Bye.